everyone. I hope you're having a great Sunday. Thank you for joining me. My name is Dr. Jason Uchida. I'm a doctor of naturopathic medicine and your host of this program about naturopathic medicine. Welcome to Island Wellness, a program designed to educate you about naturopathic medicine. I graduated from the National College of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, Oregon in 1988. I've been practicing naturopathic medicine in Hawaii for the past 21 years. Naturopathic physicians are licensed in the state of Hawaii as primary care providers, just like medical doctors. Let me give you a brief introduction to naturopathic medicine. Naturopathic medicine is a primary healthcare system founded on the honored universal principle that nature is the ultimate healer. Its roots go back beyond the time of Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine. Naturopathic medicine's core belief is that our body has the innate ability to maintain and restore optimum health no matter what the current status may be. Therefore, a physician's true role is to support this process by using modalities of treatment that work in harmony with the body's natural healing ability. Well, that's enough about me and naturopathic medicine. Let's find out if it works. To help illustrate this, I typically ask a patient to share his or her experience with naturopathic medicine so that you can get a better understanding of how safe and effective this form of medicine is. Today's topic is very unique and interesting because my patient was not only facing one potentially debilitating disease, but two at the same time. In June 2005, Ikaika was diagnosed with avascular necrosis in the main bone in his left foot. That's the talus bone. Avascular necrosis is defined as bone death due to lack of blood supply, which typically leads to tiny breaks in the bone and its eventual collapse. To make matters worse, and to Ikaika's dismay, in March 2006 he was diagnosed with severely elevated blood lipid levels. Unfortunately, what made the whole situation devastating is that conventional medicine didn't offer any hope in repairing the dying bone in Ikaika's foot, which would lead to a life of disability. Then the statin medications also failed to lower the lipid levels to sufficient levels, potentially leading to heart attack or stroke in the near future. Before Ikaika joins us to share his fascinating sojourn with battling these potentially crippling illnesses, let me give you an introduction into avascular necrosis, otherwise known as dying bone. Avascular necrosis is defined as death of bone tissue due to lack of blood supply. This typically causes tiny breaks in the affected area of the bone and leads to its eventual collapse, creating severe pain and disability. The most common cause of damage to a bone's blood supply are injury or trauma, long-term use of steroids, and excessive alcohol intake. There are other terms that can be used to describe avascular necrosis, such as osteonecrosis, aseptic necrosis, and ischemic bone necrosis. However, it is widely understood that avascular necrosis is progressive. This means that it will worsen with time. Initially, you may not feel any pain. However, as the osteonecrosis progresses, a feeling of pain and decreased range of motion will come on. The location of pain is dependent on where the necrosis has developed, such as in the hip, as groin pain or pain radiating down to the knee, in the wrist pain with weakness in the fingers, and in the knee pain with necrosis in the knee. Avascular necrosis is typically diagnosed with MRI scans that show areas of fracture or signs of necrosis. Radiographic x-rays will usually miss necrosis in its early stage. However, in the latter stages of necrosis, evidence is more noticeable. The typical treatment for avascular necrosis is pain medications. Bisulfonate medications such as Fosamax and Actonil can be tried. The typical surgical recommendations are cord decompression, where the affected dying bone is removed. Bone reshaping or osteotomy can be implemented, where the bone is reshaped to reduce the amount of stress placed on the affected area of necrosis. Bone transplant can be tried to grow new bone in the area of necrosis. Lastly, joint replacement can be used in cases where the bone has already collapsed. Now, what makes tonight's program interesting is that you'll learn how a very old and rarely used naturopathic medicine worked at regenerating bone regrowth, and how a dietary change in naturopathic supplements lowered all of Ikaika's severely elevated blood lipid levels to amazingly low range. Let's go ahead and start. Hi, Ikaika. Welcome to Island Wellness.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us. We're going to start with the osteonecrosis because that's the more interesting of the two diseases, or illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
You were diagnosed with osteonecrosis back in 2006.
Yes.
In March, I
Yes.
believe. Tell us what was involved with that. Did you feel some pain, and that's why you went to see the doctor at that time?
Actually, this all first started when I went running. I hurt my foot one day, and it was really sore. So about a week I laid off it, stopped running, see if it healed, but it didn't get much better. So then I went to the doctor, and then I took x-rays in there from there. And the first doctor I went to, he didn't explain much.
About the osteonecrosis?
Yeah. So actually he put me in an air cast for about 3 months or so.
Okay.
It seemed like it helped because the pain was gone, the swelling it went down. And as soon as I got there, I went back to see him again. He took me off. So he took me off the air cast and everything, so I was able to walk again for a little while. So I started doing all my regular routines, went back to jogging and things like that. And then eventually I noticed the same thing started to happen to my foot. I had swelling and discomfort. So I went back to the same doctor and referred me to another doctor. And then from there, this doctor suggested I take a MRI. And then there he found that my bone started to deteriorate a little. And then he told me that I'm going to have to be on crutches and air cast again.
Okay.
For another.
So that's when they first found the osteonecrosis, I guess.
Yeah.
Initially, they felt, I guess the x-ray showed nothing.
Yeah.
So they just thought it was maybe some
bruising of the bone or something. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so you were put in the air cast again.
Yeah.
And you were off your feet for another 3 months.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And they explained to you what osteonecrosis was at that time?
Actually, not that I remember. When I went back again to see the other doctor,
probably the specialist.
Yeah.
The orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then he told me then he explained to me what was going on in my foot.
Okay.
So he was telling me that the bone it's dying. It doesn't look very good. Prognosis, he didn't really give me much of a solution, just that I need to take it easy. I need to stay away from impacting sports like running, basketball, pretty much anything like that. That's pretty much what he told me. So
okay.
Yeah.
So did you take any medications for the pain?
At first he told me to take Aleve for the swelling, and the discomfort wasn't too bad, so I really wasn't taking that much of it. So that's pretty much all they subscribed to me at the time.
And I guess you stopped running?
Yeah, I completely stopped running. I don't do things that I normally do. I used to play basketball every once in a while, but I don't do that.
Okay.
The only thing I really do is golf. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not too traumatic.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you played a lot of golf during
Yeah.
few months.
Yeah.
All right. So did they offer medications like Fosamax or Actonil?
No, as I recall, none of that was actually given to me as a suggestion.
Okay.
So.
I guess over time, what happened?
Over time, it just kept getting worse and worse. So I actually went and saw another doctor. He actually gave me the same prognosis that this is really bad. There's not much that can be done. So basically, you need to kind of take it easy, stay off your feet as much as possible, because they had no idea when or how bad the bone would get or when it would collapse at one point. So
Let me give the audience an idea of why, I guess, they had such a bad prognosis for you. Because it was the bone that was affected that was bad. So the bone that was affected in your foot that had the avascular necrosis was the talus bone.
Yes.
So the talus bone is the main bone in the foot. It's the bone that sits toward the back of your foot. It's the bone that your long bone coming down, or your lower leg bone coming down your leg, sits on. And that's what produces so much impact on that talus bone, because all your weight goes on that talus bone when you walk or when you run.
Yes.
So if the necrosis is setting into the talus bone, eventually that bone will collapse, basically. You had mentioned to me at one time that your orthopedic surgeon didn't have any type of good recommendation for you.
No, not really. Just basically stay off of it. If it gets worse, come back and see him. And I think the solution they gave me was they probably have to fuse my foot.
Put together.
Yeah. So that was the only thing he pretty much gave me as a solution.
Okay, so I guess what he'd do would be to remove the dead bone, or the dying bone, and maybe pack it, and then I guess fuse your lower leg bone to your foot bone.
Yes.
So fusing the ankle. So I guess that didn't sound too good for you.
No, it wasn't.
I guess because you're an active guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you run, you work out.
Yeah.
Play tennis? Basketball?
Basketball. No.
All right. So wasn't a good solution for you.
No.
What were you feeling when he gave you that prognosis and those recommendations that, there wasn't much that could be done? I think you had mentioned to me that, did he also say that the collapse could happen in a matter of 6 months?
Yeah, actually.
Or 20 years?
Yeah, actually, it was the second doctor that I saw. He's telling me that it could happen in, a month or 20 years from now, I mean, the collapse it just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess if it collapsed, you would have to fuse them together.
Yeah.
And at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. Tell us, what were you feeling when he gave you that prognosis that, you eventually would be basically a cripple?
Yeah, actually, I remember the first day I went there, I wasn't too worried about what he said. I was more worried about going to the dentist that day because I had to get a root canal. So, it didn't really hit me till maybe 2 or 3 days later. And then it finally set in, and then it's like, wow, I can't imagine me not being able to walk, do nothing. What would I do? And that kind of got me scared, so I started to do some research on necrosis and what kind of solutions there were for it. A lot of it looked kind of expensive, all the researches that were done. And I just went into kind of like a depression mode at that time for about a week or so.
Yeah. I'm sure you were depressed.
Yeah.
Right, because your options were pretty slim to none.
It was. Yeah.
And they weren't really offering you much help.
No.
Yeah. And by the way, avascular necrosis was what ended Bo Jackson's career. A lot of you remember Bo Jackson out there. One of the best athletes in football as well as baseball. He played professionally at the top level in baseball and football, and he was tackled from behind in one game. I forget which game it was. I think it was a playoff game, and he injured his hip. And at that point, the necrosis set in, and he could no longer play football because he wouldn't be able to take another hit. And eventually, I think he received hip replacement surgery to repair that necrotic hip. So Ikaika, why did you choose to see me at that time?
Actually, it was kind of a coincidence, I guess, because my grandma actually was seeing you previously for some of the ailments she had. So I actually, at the time, I asked my auntie to see if to ask you if you ever come across anyone with necrosis, and then she told me he came back to her and told her and then to see you as soon as possible. So it's like, okay, I might as well give you a shot because, all the medical doctors told me there was no hope pretty much, so I had nothing to lose. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So you came in to see me in April of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what I said that we needed to do?
I remember that first day, you walked in, you were telling me we need to work fast. So one of the things you told me to do was hydrotherapy, sticking my feet in hot water and back into cold water and then back into hot, back and forth. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about hydrotherapy a little bit.
Okay.
Hydrotherapy was used hundreds, let's say about maybe 500-600 years ago. The use of water to promote health.
Mm-hmm.
So what we needed to do to help bone growth was we needed to really pump blood flow into that dying area
mm-hmm.
of bone. So what hot water does is it attracts circulation to the hot water. So if you stick your arm in hot water, what happens to the skin of your arm? It turns red, and it turns red because blood is flowing to that area. And then we had Ikaika stick his foot into ice cold water. I mean, ice cold, right?
Yeah.
Ikaika. Basically dumping a lot of ice in a little bit of water and sticking his foot in the ice water. And what ice does when you put an extremity or your hand in it is it's going to turn white or blue. So what's happening is your body is shunting blood away from that area because it's trying to save core body tissue. So we're trying to shunt blood into the deep areas of Ikaika's body, basically back into the bone. So, and then Ikaika moves his foot back into hot water, where it's going to move blood out of the area and attract it to the surface. And then Ikaika puts his foot back in ice cold water to move blood back into the area of his bone. So basically, hydrotherapy, to use that in a way to really increase blood flow into an area of dying bone. All right, so Ikaika had to put his foot, first you always start, when you use hydrotherapy, you always start with hot water because that's easier to take. And because it's easier to take, you usually leave your body part in that hot water for 3 minutes. And then you put after 3 minutes is up, you move your body part, in Ikaika's case, his foot, into ice cold water. And you put the foot in ice cold water for 30 seconds. And the reason why only 30 seconds is because you probably can't last any longer than that. And then you put it back in the hot water. So, and you keep doing that back and forth. 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds ice cold, 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds ice cold. Over time, though, the hot water starts to get warmer or cooler. Mm-hmm. So Ikaika had to keep refilling the hot water with new hot water to keep it hot, as well as maybe even add more ice over time, because Ikaika had to do this for about how long each time, Ikaika?
Twice a day.
Twice a day for about how long?
For a long time, but it was
20
hard.
minutes?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Yeah, so you can imagine, I mean, it's almost like torture, right? You're putting your foot into ice cold water for 30, I mean, and you're voluntarily doing it.
Yeah.
And then not only for 30 seconds, but repeatedly, right, over time for 20 minutes. Not a pleasant experience or therapy to do.
No, it wasn't. I mean, the first day I remember doing it, it was tough. Just even keep my foot in the cold bath for even 10 seconds was hard enough.
Yeah.
And then the hot wasn't too bad. It was just the cold part was pretty tough.
The cold is always hard.
Yeah.
So Ikaika would do that for 20 minutes a day, twice a day. Twice a day. All right. So Ikaika, when I told you that we're going to put all our chips, no, not all our chips, but a lot of our chips on this hydrotherapy.
Yes.
That you probably never heard of before.
No.
It's old medicine. You probably figured it was old and rarely used, and you understand why it's rarely used now, because it's can be painful.
Yeah.
So it's not something that people typically do use. But in the old days, hydrotherapy was used quite frequently. What did you think when I told you, we got to use this hydrotherapy fast? And this is going to help save your bone.
At first it's like, no way this is gonna work. I mean, I went in just seeing you with doubts already in my head, you know, and for you to say that is like, and this is not gonna work, and I mean, it was just, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I can understand. I'm sure the listening audience probably, and the viewing audience can also understand that, you know, the experts, the orthopedic surgeons didn't give you any hope.
Yeah, yeah.
They basically cut you loose.
Yeah.
They said, you know, just rest.
Yeah, basically.
Come back later when you need me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you had great doubts. But you still performed the hydrotherapy.
Yeah.
Day in and day out.
Yeah.
Twice a day, every day.
Yeah, as much as I could.
How was that on you, physically and mentally?
Actually, that was just hard in itself to do it twice a day. I mean, there are some days I'd miss maybe once, but I'd actually do it once a day. But it was hard because times like after work, you know, I just want to do nothing, and then come home I have to do so with my feet. So, but I just kept thinking to myself, this is gonna help my foot, help me get better. So that was one of the ways that got me through that.
All right, all right. It does take time for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, you were also given though supplements to help regenerate your bone in the left foot. Do you want to try to go over some of them for the viewing audience and listening audience?
Sure. Actually, I think we did a lot of calcium that you gave me. So I remember one was, I think, the homeopath, the little white balls that tasted pretty good.
Yeah, homeopathic remedies.
Yeah, and then another one was the OsteoGuard, the calcium.
Yes.
Yeah.
OsteoGuard Plus.
Yeah, those are the two that I can remember that you gave me.
All right. Yeah, those are the main two. The homeopathic remedy that we gave Ikaika is called symphytum. In the old days, its common name was known as bone knit. So it was given to people who broke their bones because it sped up the healing of bones. So we needed to try to stimulate some healing deep inside of Ikaika's body. So we're going to try to use bone knit or symphytum to stimulate bony regeneration. And we also gave Ikaika a bone formula that I typically use on my patients who have osteoporosis. So the combination of minerals and vitamins in the OsteoGuard is specific to help regenerate bone growth. So the key ingredients are calcium, magnesium, manganese, zinc, copper, boron, vitamin K, vitamin D, and ipriflavone. So the reason why we use this formula is because those 8 ingredients, aside from the ipriflavone, is vital to get calcium into the bones. If you're missing one of those 8 ingredients, the calcium won't be able to get into the bones. So that's why we have to make sure Ikaika had all of these ingredients so that we could try to help bring the cement that Ikaika's talus bone needed to start regenerating. And the ipriflavone is added into this bone formula because ipriflavone is a nutrient that stimulates the bone cells that build bone to work faster. So those bone cells are called osteoblasts. So the ipriflavone stimulates these cells to work faster to try to increase bone growth. You know, Ikaika, I gave you a bunch of pills to take, and then we were going to use hydrotherapy to bring life back to your dying bone. What were you thinking over time?
I was just thinking like this. I was just hoping it'd work. Deep down, I was thinking it's not, but in the back of my head, I really wanted it to work. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you really wanted it to work.
Yeah.
But you had your doubts.
Yeah, I did. I definitely did.
So, you know, this isn't going to be placebo effects if it works. Because Ikaika doubted that it was going to work. All right. So, Ikaika, as a matter of fact, though, over time, I think you told me this in about September of last year, 2009, that you actually stopped performing the hydrotherapy.
Yeah.
Would you explain to the listening audience why you stopped the hydrotherapy? Because this was your only hope. But you decided to stop using
Yeah,
hydrotherapy.
actually, work was getting really busy, so it was just taking its toll, and mentally I was just too tired to even do it. So that's why I completely stopped for about maybe a month and a half or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But during that month and a half,
Mhm.
or at the end of that month and a half,
Mhm.
you went in to see your orthopedic surgeon again?
Yeah, I went back for MRI.
For an MRI?
Yeah.
For an MRI scan. Okay, so this was important, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what we were going to see if your bone was
Yeah.
regenerating or not.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so, but before we mention how your bones are doing,
Mhm.
I'm sure the viewing audience already knows what happened, but the reason why you are so busy is because you own your own company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a cookie business. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about lipid levels in a little bit. So, Ikaika is making delicious cookies that raise your lipid levels. And it's all around him, but, and he has to deal with lowering his lipid levels, right? His cholesterol levels and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But, so you were really busy
Yeah.
at work, mainly because business was really ramping up
Yeah.
at that time
Yeah.
because of the holiday season,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mhm.
And Ikaika's cookies taste really good, so that's why. But so tell the viewing audience and the listening audience what your orthopedic surgeon told you.
Actually, so I went back to see him after my MRI, and surprisingly, what he told me was, it looks like the bone is starting to heal because there wasn't this tissue, I guess, mark or scar tissue that was there previously. So that was one reason that gave him to say that my bone could possibly be healing right now. So.
All right. And how did you feel when he told you that?
I was pretty darn amazed. I mean, previously before the MRI, I was thinking, man, this must be worse because my foot didn't feel any better than it did a year and a half ago from when I saw you.
Yeah.
And deep down in my head, I was thinking, nah, this is not working. It's probably worse. And then when I went to see him again for follow-up, it was just amazing that he said, yeah, there's improvement there. So that's pretty amazing.
Was he impressed that it had improved?
Actually, he seemed sort of. Actually, he actually gave me more solutions to help speed up the process, which he didn't give me previously. So
now he wants to jump on
yeah,
Ikaika's train that was now heading for the finish line.
Yeah.
Before he jumped off.
Yeah, exactly.
Now Ikaika, we're winning. I'm gonna jump on your train and let's go.
Yeah.
What recommendations did he give you to try to help heal this bone?
One that he gave me was to drill my bone to, I guess, have more blood go into that area to help build the bone. That any surgery just didn't really sit well with me. So
at this point.
Yeah.
All right. In fact, for the viewing and listening audience, when I was in Portland going to medical school, the Portland Trailblazers drafted a player by the name of Sam Bowie instead of taking Michael Jordan, and they're still taking a lot of flack for that. But Sam Bowie was, I think, about 7'1" at that time, and really tall people typically have bone problems. And Sam Bowie, I think maybe the first 4 years that he was at Portland and playing for the Trailblazers, he kept fracturing his tibia, which is the lower bone. So I know one of the treatments that they tried at that time to try to speed up healing and encourage bone growth, because I guess he's so tall that the blood supply to the lower extremities was not as good as normal height people, right? So they wanted to drill bone, or they actually did drill drill holes in his tibia to try to encourage bone regrowth. But it didn't work because obviously most people now don't know of Sam Bowie. But at that time, he was one of the better college players coming out of college. This was back in the early 80s, 1980s, so a long time ago. But all right, Ikaika, so You had some improvement happening, your bones starting to regenerate again, your doctor feeling better about your situation. But you had stopped, doing the hydrotherapy.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that?
Once he told me there was some improvement, I just went back to doing everything I was previously because it was helping. So that's basically it.
Hey, who knows,
Yeah.
Another month and a half of hydrotherapy, that bone might have been
better.
completely healed.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
But great story, Ikaika. We're going to talk about how you feel about hydrotherapy in a second. But I'm sure you had a lot of family concerned about your health and that kind of stuff. I don't know, what were they telling you about naturopathic medicine and how it was going to save your dying bone in your foot?
Actually, everyone was pretty skeptical. For me, I was just skeptical going in because my grandma, she was seeing you previously for what I think it was her skin problem and kind of
totally different.
Yeah, I mean the kind of diet and stuff that she was on. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be put on a diet like that. It's like, oh, but yeah, it wasn't very good. Everyone had doubts. Especially me. So.
Yeah. So for sure, not placebo effect.
No.
Your hope wasn't really high.
No.
In trying to that the bone was going to regenerate.
No, I was really thinking this was going to fail, and just to come out with some improvement is pretty remarkable for me.
Man, the hydrotherapy must be powerful. It worked against your feelings.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Tell us what your feeling is about hydrotherapy now. I mean, it's something you never heard of before, I'm sure.
It's something I've never heard of before, and I mean, it's totally changed. I mean, since it's been helping me now, I mean, it's like a miracle thing for me,
Yeah.
So.
When we first started the treatment, I had told you that I had helped some people with osteonecrosis before, or avascular necrosis before. I gave you some examples. Treated a handful of people. Typically, it's more wrist, bones in the wrist that are dying because of a fall. They use their hand to brace themselves when they're falling. And one Olympic diver came in to see me. He was retired, though, at that time. So no one he was a foreigner, too. But, we used the hydrotherapy to regenerate the bone growth in their dying bones, but it was in their wrist. Easier for blood to get into the wrist than in the foot, but still not impossible. And, when I told you about those stories even, what were you thinking?
It gave me hope, but, I mean, deep down in my head, I was like, no, this still ain't going to work. So, yeah.
You're honest. I'm sure most people would have thought, no, not working. I'm not biting.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it all worked for you. We're not out of the woods yet, but very encouraging. There's significant improvement in bone regeneration in your foot. We still have a ways to go.
Yeah.
Are you back hydrotherapying your foot twice a day?
Yeah. I'm trying to. I skip once maybe so often, but I'm trying to do it more often than I used to. So.
And actually, though, for the listening and viewing audience's sake, about maybe 4 or 5 months after you started the hydrotherapy treatment for your left foot, you came in. I forget if you called me or if it was during one of the office visits, but you were burning your skin on your foot.
Yeah, actually, my mother-in-law got concerned because my foot was turning kind of dark and brown. But I just remember you telling me that just put your foot in water hot water as much as your foot can handle. So at one point my foot was handling like boiling water. So and then eventually I was burning my skin. So That's why I gave you a call.
It wasn't blistering, though.
No, it wasn't blistering. Though.
So yes, we want it really hot, as hot as you can take. But I guess over time, your body just got more used to it.
It did. I even noticed with the cold water too, so I was able to keep my foot in there longer than 30 seconds. But you told me when I went back I was holding it too long, so go back to less than 30 if you can. Yeah.
So 30 seconds at the most, in 3 minutes. Hot water at the most.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. So Ikaika, you did a great job. I mean, obviously, for anyone to put their foot in ice cold water and hot water in and out for 20 minutes twice a day takes dedication. So obviously, you did a great job. So congratulations. I'm glad
Thanks.
And I'm sure everybody else is really excited that your foot is healing. It's always exciting for me because although I've had patients be successful in the past, I'm always wondering in the back of my head too, is this going to be the first one that doesn't work?
Yeah.
Right. So, but again, congratulations to you, Ikaika. There's osteonecrosis or avascular necrosis that can happen in many different bones in the body. One of the side effects of taking Fosamax and Actonil and those like medications is avascular necrosis in the jaw. I don't believe you'll be able to use the hydrotherapy on your jaw. It would be pretty tough, right? Because you'd have to get the ice water as well as the ice as well as the really hot water up to your jaw, and your jaw or face or skin on your face is quite tender. So we'd have to use a different type of treatment for you. But in the hand, in the foot, very easily accomplished with hydrotherapy. So I'm glad that the old remedies in naturopathic medicine still have a use today in today's in treating illnesses today. So Ikaika, this wasn't your only problem, though.
No.
You poor guy. And you were so young at that time. I mean, I think you were diagnosed when you were about like 25.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Ikaika, tell us about, the elevated blood lipid levels. I mean, I know you were telling me earlier that you can't remember exactly what those numbers were. But they were elevated.
They're fairly high.
Your doctors were concerned.
Yeah.
Your triglyceride levels were sky high.
Yeah.
Something high 300s or
yeah.
so. And take us from there.
Actually, I went in for a routine blood test, and the doctors told me that my cholesterol was pretty bad on top of my triglycerides. So they suggested that they put me on some kind of medication. At first, I told them, could we hold off on it because I wanted to see if I could bring it down through exercise. So for a couple months, I did intense exercising, did a lot of swimming, a lot of weightlifting. So then I went back in a couple months to get checked, and same thing, no change at all. So I told the doctor before they put me on medication again, I just want to try it one more time. So I figure I do my diet and exercise. And
can I stop you there before we talk about what you did for your diet?
Yeah.
Typically, exercise, and I think I told you this at the first visit.
Yeah.
Exercise doesn't lower cholesterol levels. It will raise HDL levels, high-density lipoprotein levels, the good cholesterol, and it will lower, inversely, the bad cholesterol, LDL cholesterol levels. But it typically doesn't lower total cholesterol levels, and that's why there was no change with the exercise regime. Sorry, Ikaika, and then you added your own diet to try to lower these levels.
Yeah, so I started to eat a lot of veggies and fruits, oatmeal in the morning, stayed away from fried foods as much as possible, but that's pretty much how my diet was at the time. And so I went back again, and still no change. So
no change?
Yeah, no change at all.
Did you own your cookie company at that time?
Yes.
It must have been hard for you not to sample those cookies.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I mean, you gotta taste your product every once in a while, so it's pretty hard to stay away.
Ikaika was nice enough to let me sample some of his cookies, and they are really good. So it must be really tough for you to stay away from them. But okay, so you tried exercising like a madman.
Yeah.
And maybe that was hurt the avascular necrosis.
Yeah.
But also you changed your diet.
Yeah.
You basically cut out the meats.
Yeah.
And you eat more fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And there was no change to your blood lipid levels.
Still no change. So at that time, I just decided, heck, I'll just try the medication for about a month. So I took it for a month, and then went back for blood tests. They had some improvement, but with medication, I didn't like it because it really made me tired, and I just couldn't do much because I was just too tired to do things,
Okay. So the medication had their side effects.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So you probably were given a statin, I would imagine.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. But it didn't do much for your cholesterol level.
No.
And didn't lower your triglyceride levels at all.
Yeah, not too much. Yeah.
Okay. So, but before we talk about what we had you do, Ikaika, you on the first visit that you came in to see me, I could tell how worried you were about your elevated lipid levels because you brought in the results of your visit to Holistica.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why you went to see Holistica? What was going on in your head at that time?
Well, actually, I went to Holistica not for my cholesterol and stuff. I actually was having problems with palpitations at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
So the doctors couldn't really find anything, even my medical doctor. But one of the doctors told me it's probably the caffeine that I was taking because at the time I was kind of in school yet, finishing up, and I was getting stressed. So I was taking a lot of caffeine at the time. So
all right.
Stayed away from it, but I still get the palpitations every so often, but not as much.
Okay. So you went to Holistica. Holistica, they can evaluate the amount of inflammation as well as blockage in the blood vessels. And what was found?
They said there was some I guess clogging, not much, but very little. And that's pretty much what I could remember from what they told me.
Okay,
yeah.
So that must have been a relief for you.
Yeah, that was actually.
Because your cholesterol levels are really high.
Yeah.
So I guess you were thinking, my blood vessels must be
pretty terrible. Yeah. Yeah.
And you poor guy, you're like 25, and they tell you, man, your cholesterol levels are so high. I don't know what they told you. Could you explain what the doctors were concerned about?
They were just concerned because my triglycerides were pretty much off the charts. I think normal was 150. I think my triglycerides were twice that much, actually more than twice.
Yeah,
so that was one of the major concerns they had.
They didn't allude to the fact that maybe you might die early because...
No.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. But I'm sure you were concerned.
I was, definitely was.
Because with levels that high and medications not really helping enough, you were probably thinking that my blood vessels are going to clog up before I hit 40.
Yeah, I figure I'd be pretty bad when I hit 40.
All right.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what you were feeling when you were diagnosed with the elevated cholesterol levels? And
pretty much the same way I felt with my foot. I mean, I didn't think I could be helped no matter what. So I just like with my foot, I took a shot to see after that. Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't feel good about your health, I guess, at that time.
No.
You felt no one could help you for your avascular necrosis,
yeah.
and no one could help you for your elevated blood lipid levels.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess you're feeling pretty down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, Ikaika. So no one likes to go on a diet, and I'm sure you heard from your family that I changed people's diets. So would you mind telling the viewing and listening audience which diet I asked you to start eating?
I believe it was the Candida diet. At first, the first week was brutal. It's just hard. You have to cut out pretty much everything you like to eat. Anything good. So, I mean, it was hard, especially with the line of business I'm in, cookies around it so often. So it was really tough.
So would you mind sharing which foods you had to stop eating for the viewing and listening?
A lot of sugar. Sugars was completely cut out. No breads. What else?
Pastas.
Vinegar. No Nothing with soy, remember?
No juice or soda?
Yeah, none of that.
No dried fruits?
Yeah.
No alcohol?
Yeah.
And by the way, avascular necrosis can be caused by excessive alcohol intake. Would you tell the listening audience? I'm sure they want to know. Are you a heavy drinker?
No, I was never a heavy drinker.
Okay, it was
actually.
from the running.
Yeah.
It wasn't from drinking and tripping and
falling.
falling.
No. Actually, no, none of that.
So no alcohol, no cookies, cakes, pies, pastries, chocolates, ice cream, candies.
Yeah, exactly.
No dried cereal.
None of that.
No dairy products.
Nope.
No eggs.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see. No pork.
Yep. No beef too.
No beef.
Yeah.
So what's the point in living?
Yeah, exactly. My life was horrible already.
All right. But you wanted to live.
Yes.
All right. So you smiled and followed the diet to the T.
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Almost, pretty much. I
All
cheated
right.
maybe once in a while, but very hardly.
Ikaika did do really well. I mean, it's hard because if you own the Ono Cookie Company, you're cranking out these delicious cookies, and you can't try them or taste them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody else around you is eating whatever they want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to be hard.
Yeah.
But what happened? What happened when you had your next blood test?
I was pretty shocked because everything was down. I wasn't expecting much. I mean, my triglycerides were down to like 90, I think, from 350, I think. My LDL was under 100 for the first time.
Was 44.
Yeah.
44.
Yeah, so it's a pretty drastic change there.
Your total cholesterol was 115.
Yeah.
So everything dropped to the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, were you shocked that that's what happened?
Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much, actually. Well, with the food I was eating, I was hoping I need to get some result, So,
right.
But yeah, I was surprised.
That it went that low.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Your cholesterol to HDL ratio was 3.75. Before it was close to 6.
Yeah. Exactly.
So not great, but still a lot better than it was. And the reason why the cholesterol to HDL ratio wasn't lower like you would think, because Ikaika's total cholesterol is 115. Ikaika's HDL level was still about like 40, maybe it was 30 something.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is Ikaika's LDL level was 44, his HDL level was low 30s. So that means that the third cholesterol, the VLDL cholesterol, was quite high. Normally in most people it's in the teens. Ikaika's was like 40 something, which is really unusual, and that what puts Ikaika at risk for really developing cardiovascular disease if it was out of control. But now it's really, really under control now.
Yeah, yes it is.
All right, so Ikaika, I'm sure everybody is wondering. We also gave you supplements too, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We gave you a few naturopathic supplements to help lower cholesterol levels. As well as triglyceride levels. So you're taking specific supplements to lower those as well as the diet.
Yes.
Would you, over time though, I'm sure your diet changed a little bit, right?
Yes.
Because you came in to see me in April of 2008. Or was it March? I think it was April 2008.
Yeah, I think so.
And then you had great results. What happened? I think it was like either July or September of 2009. You went back in for blood tests.
Actually, because I got off the diet a little bit, I just noticed my everything went up a little bit, but not drastically.
Yeah.
So I come to the conclusion that I need to stick to the diet more than I should, which sucks.
Can you say that? Well, I can understand. I mean, so that meant that the supplements wasn't doing it alone.
Yeah.
Right, because you kept taking those supplements.
Yeah.
Right, but so the supplements weren't doing it alone. Ikaika's levels were still pretty good. I think your total cholesterol level was like 230. It was 130. Your triglyceride level went up though. Went up to like 160, 150.
Yeah.
So Ikaika knew he had to get back on track. All right. So would you tell the audience, about the diet? Was it tough?
It is. it was really tough. Like I said, the first week was really hard, but I mean, the more you do it, the more you get used to it. So it got kind of easy towards the end part.
All right. So it's become more like a lifestyle now.
Yeah, it has.
All right. And owning your own business of making cookies, the Ono Cookie Company.
Yeah.
It's got to be hard.
Yeah, it's tough.
To follow that diet.
Yes.
Because that's not your business.
Yes.
But you still do it.
Yeah.
Why do you do it?
I just like to bake. It's something
not that.
But the cookies. Not the.
The diet.
It's more because I find it as a personal responsibility for myself and my family. I want to be around as long as I can for them. I mean, I can't control a lot of stuff, but this is something that I can control. It's my diet.
And you learn that you actually can control it.
Yeah.
And the reason why this diet works is because we're not only cutting out foods that are high in cholesterol, as well as foods high in saturated fat, because that's basically what Ikaika did when you changed your diet first, but had no impact on lowering cholesterol levels. But what we did was we also eliminated simple carbohydrates, because simple carbohydrates turn into fat or triglycerides in the body, as well as get turned into cholesterol. So that's why when you eliminate those three food groups, saturated fats, cholesterols, and simple carbohydrates, Ikaika's levels just shot to the floor. Difficult to do, though.
Yeah, it is.
But if that's your only option, it can be done. All right, Ikaika. So what do you think of naturopathic medicine now and helping you for regenerating dead bone in your foot and avoiding catastrophe and debility, as well as helping you with your cholesterol levels?
To me, I just find it amazing, surprising, especially with what I had going in there. I just figured this wasn't going to help, and lo and behold, this has been helping me. So that's all I can say.
You're a true believer now.
Yes, I am. You made me one.
All right. I gotta wonder myself. I never know if this patient will be the one that it won't work for. Thank God it worked for you.
Yeah.
All right. We're toward the end of our hour, I guess. We have 2 minutes. You want to share any thoughts to anyone who suffers from stubborn elevated cholesterol levels or avascular necrosis?
Basically is don't ignore it, I mean, I went in to the doctors, gave me a lot of negative feedback. I thought I was done for, but just try finding ways, and you'll find it eventually,
Keep looking.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't lose hope.
Yep, exactly.
All right, Ikaika. You really are helping people, with finding hope in whatever problems they may have, I'm sure. I'm sorry to say that our time is up. Ikaika, thank you so much for sharing your incredible story with us tonight. I wish you continued good luck and best wishes.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in and joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the program and learned something of value. Hope you continue to look for us and tune in to Island Wellness on Olelo Television. My name is Dr. Jason Uchida. Goodbye.